right now over at Disney, things seem to be free falling. Wish is doing really, really horrible. The Marvels, which is of course a Marvel property, which is a subsidiary of Disney, is bombing and about to leave the box office. Well, we had the strike that went on for an extended period of time, which means like, what are they going to do in the next year? Well, Disney has a plan, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like they're going to be re-releasing a bunch of Disney Pixar movies that were released straight to Disney Plus, and they're just going to dump them in theaters at the start of next year. We've got Soul, Turning Red, and Luca, which are going to be coming out on January 12th, February 9th, and March 22nd, respectively.
Why should anyone bother to go to these movies in theaters?
Well, I mean,
they're over a year old.
Disney Plus doesn't have a massive, I mean, it's got a large subscriber base, so but there's still plenty of people who...
Doesn't this just further disincentivize people from subscribing to the platform, which is the goal?
Yeah, but now they're going to have, I think a big part of it is they're going to have a bunch of open windows here from movies that didn't get made. So they've got to fill slots, right? And this is at the start of the year. The new year is traditionally a fairly dead time at the box office after New Year's. So they're filling in gaps right there.
I guess.
And if it's winter and parents are like January, like kids are going to be back in school. So it's not like they've got something going on here where it's like over the holidays where kids can go and see these movies on break, but these are kids' movies that didn't necessarily hit it out of the park. But they referenced the fact that the movie Elemental got a theater release and through good word of mouth ended up actually making a decent amount of money at the box office as their logic for doing this.
Well, maybe they'll have good returns on these. I don't expect it to, but these movies that they made like after COVID were all filler movies, or so it seemed at the time anyway. And Turning Red, I still find that whole premise weird. It's about a little girl getting her period that is personified in this anthropomorphic character that follows her around. I don't understand why that should be the premise for any kids movie.
Was this movie popular?
I don't remember it being all that talked about.
I mean, it got talked about by people in this space.
It also had like a little nod to like trans propaganda because there was a trans flag shown in it, a trans character wearing the trans flag.
It got a little bit of play in this space.
I wonder like why these movies? I mean, I know Soul was like pretty big
because they didn't get theater releases, and one of the things people have a problem with is that when the pandemic happened and then afterwards, they stopped releasing Pixar movies in theaters and started just releasing their Disney animated movies in theaters. And Pixar still carries a lot of weight as far as name, brand, and art style.
Strange World did badly. Lightyear did badly.
Yeah.
Both Disney, not Pixar specifically.
I think Lightyear is a Pixar.
It is?
I think Lightyear is a Pixar movie. Because
I didn't
Toy Story
watch
was a Pixar movie.
Luca. It came out in 2021. So I didn't realize this, but they literally just recycled the plot line of The Little Mermaid and gender swapped Ariel.
Do you want to read it for us?
This is a coming of age story about a young boy named Luca and his best friend Alberto, who are harmless sea monsters. I don't think you can be a monster if you're harmless. But they're from another world below the ocean's surface. Luca takes notice of a clock and a Joker card that he found on the ocean floor. His mother is highly protective of him and warns him of being caught by anyone from the surface. This is literally just the Little Mermaid storyline. Did anyone tell them that before they made this movie? Or were they just thinking, we need to make a Pixar movie with a Latinx lead, and we'll just start with that character and then make the story around it? That's what it seems like they're doing. Yeah. They come up with the character, they design a character to check all these boxes, and then they make the story afterwards and fit them in there somehow, and it doesn't work.
So this is what Pixar chief Peter Docter said about the streaming debuts, which he believes is what it's doing is it's training people to see Disney animated movies as the superior product and Pixar movies as what would have back in the day have been essentially straight to DVD sequels, like Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, if anybody actually watched that one.
Does anyone remember that one?
Says, in the long run, there's been a bit of a mixed blessing because we've trained audiences that these films will be available for you on Disney Plus, he told Variety. Also, Also, it's more expensive for a family of 4 to go to a theater when you know you can wait and it'll come out on the platform. Now, movies that did really, really well this year did not make it to streaming. I mean, Barbie just came out on streaming very recently. Same with, I think, Oppenheimer. The movies that do well, they keep them off of the streaming service as long as they could. So you spend a good amount of time in the theaters, then they go to pay VOD, which I forget is a thing sometimes. Like when we were in Nashville, I had to watch cable, which is just
Oh gosh.
horrible.
You don't have to watch something.
But actually, here's the thing. Like, I'm starting to kind of like the commercials as background noise. I'll never actually.
I do, yeah.
I'll never
I do
actually
sometimes.
look at them by choice, but if I have to, I do. But the point is
oh.
one of the things that they're advertising. One of the things that they're advertising when you go down the menu is like all these movies that you can get pay VOD right now or on demand, right? So they make a good amount of money doing that after the fact. But if you're just dumping these movies straight to a streaming service and you're spending massive amounts of money to get them made, you're really losing out on a bunch of investment because they have seemingly, for the most part, maxed out their subscriber counts on these platforms. They're growing, but they're not growing at the rate that they once were. Netflix has proven time and time again that as crappy as it is the superior streaming service when it comes to subscriber count, right? It's the only one that turns an actual profit. Amazon Prime literally is just subsidized by the fact that there was an ad for one of the ads for one of the things that came, or I think it had been for not the Minecraft trailer. What was the trailer that came out recently? There was a trailer for something from Amazon Prime recently. It said, from the studio that brought you The Boys and 2 days free shipping. Like, it's subsidized
That's
by
all
the
they
fact.
have.
Yeah, it's well, no, but they have other stuff. They have stuff that I love. They have Reacher. What they should start doing is saying, from the studio that unfortunately brought you Rings of Power, as like a mea culpa for it. But none of these streaming services are bringing in enough investment from the subscriber base to warrant releasing it only here. When you're leaving money on the table, you at least get a certain amount of people back by having people go to the theater. Disney has diehards, which means Pixar has diehards. All of the Disney movies that came out this year had higher audience scores than critic scores, because if you're going to a Disney movie, unless you're us and you're dragging me there kicking and screaming because we have to review it, you probably already like Disney to begin with.
Right. Well, you're saying that they were prioritizing the Disney movies over the Disney animated movies over the Pixar movies.
Yes. Yet
the quality of the Disney animated movies is not any better than the Pixar movies. So what? Like that whole model doesn't make sense. I mean, we watched Wish. It didn't look any better than Pixar movies. It wasn't written any better than Pixar movies.
Yeah.
It was worse.
But we didn't see Elemental. And we didn't see, like, we just skipped Elemental. Like, I mean, there was something else that came out around that time, I think.
So that was on streaming first and then went to theaters and did well?
No, it was which one?
Elemental?
No, Elemental went to theaters for it. We have a $20 super chat here from Not That John Stewart. He says Fallout trailers. Yeah, it's the trailer for the new Fallout show from Jonathan Nolan, which a lot of people are saying looks cheap.
Is it on Amazon?
It's an Amazon property. I think it looks okay, but it had the very beginning had Michael Emerson, and I'm very partial to Michael Emerson, so that could be my own bias speaking. But no, so what happened with Elemental was it didn't do well opening weekend. Mm-hmm. It had a very mediocre opening weekend, but it had strong word of mouth amongst fans and had very, very long legs at the box office. So it made a good amount of money over time. It made like $500 million.
Okay. That's still not a profit.
Still not a huge profit, but it did better than anything else that was being released from them at that time. So the idea here may be what they're hoping for is that a bunch of people who don't have Disney Plus will go see some of these movies, and hopefully good word of mouth will get people to want to go see it on the big screen. I don't think that really works because logically speaking, like we said before, Disney has a very diehard fan base, which means they likely already have Disney Plus. Like if you're going to see a Disney movie opening weekend, there's probably a strong correlation between going to see a Disney movie opening weekend and having Disney Plus anyways. So a lot of people, but families may want to go bring their kids to see this for the sake of having something to do over the winter. I don't know. But
I guess that's their hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I recently saw The Matrix in theaters when it was like out again.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I almost didn't go, but I was like, oh, when is this ever going to be in theaters again? And that's a cult classic. And even that, I was sort of like, I guess I'll go watch it.
Those times when they re-release something in theaters, it's for a classic or for something
like Rocky
that
Horror.
Yeah,
or
people
like,
really want to have the experience of seeing it in a theater.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because they care about the movie, and no one gives a crap about these filler Pixar movies that came out after
probably
the pandemic.
like streamed 100 times if they liked it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's very interesting for them to point this out, but a lot of it is probably that they feel that Pixar is losing the luster that the Pixar name once had. Pixar used to be a very big. There's a reason why it had to be bought by Disney, because Bob Iger has one move. He buys everything because Disney is actually a creatively bankrupt, empty black hole of art now. They don't know how to create. They know how to buy.
Yep.
It's a purchase factory.
And re-release.
Which they just did. They just bought Hulu. And a company that's like $8 gazillion in debt just spent billions to buy Hulu because Bob Iger only knows how to do one thing, and that's to buy stuff. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.